Arctic National Wildlife Refuge is an untouched wilderness in Alaska's far north. It's also the flashpoint in a debate over America's energy supply, whether or not we should drill in federally protected, undisturbed wild land. But there is a bigger question ignored by our leaders. How can we come up with a common-sense plan for our future energy needs that is good for the economy, good for our security, and good for the environment?
When it comes to the conservation of most natural resources, we are a responsible people.
As a fiscally conservative economist, I can't understand why anyone would promote drilling in ANWR when the other alternatives of increased renewables, which has clear benefits to the economy, and increased efficiency, which has clear benefits, would not be preferred.
Anyone who's even considering drilling in the Arctic Wildlife Refuge has to come to face facts. And the facts are that the United States has on the order of 2% of the world's oil reserves, and yet we guzzle on the order of 25% of the world's oil. We have no chance of drilling our way out of our oil dependence.
We have a big oil addiction, a big oil monkey on our back, and we've got to kick it.
How do you like that? Out of cigarettes.
If we took an aggressive path to increase fuel economy, we could save 3 times as much oil over the next 20 years as we could get out of the Arctic Refuge over its 50-year lifespan.
There are people who support drilling in ANWR, and one of their arguments is that if we open up ANWR and you get 500,000 barrels a day, which is one of the estimates tossed around, 400,000, 500,000 barrels a day, that will lower gas prices around the country. I don't buy it.
The amount of oil available in the Arctic Refuge, even if the maximum amount predicted is truly available, is such a small proportion of the total oil consumption and oil production in the world that it will have absolutely no effect on world oil prices.
Oil companies are going to buy the cheapest oil available. And if it happens to be on a ship coming from Amsterdam full of Saudi oil, they're going to buy that one before they're going to buy a higher priced tanker full of oil.
Alaska is not going to set the price on the international or on the domestic oil market just because we're producing some more. What will change the price at the pump is the international commodity price.
When you look at the United States today, we are a world economic power, and we have the potential and the choice to either stay that way or to cede that leadership to other countries. Part of the problem in our economy today is that 1/4 of last year's trade deficit was spent on importing oil. So it's a real big hit to not only our personal back pockets, but the overall state of our economy.
Whether that oil price will go up or down over time, we'll see. But there's no question that here and now it's having a really negative impact on the growth engine of the American economy.
Historically, the oil industry has overestimated considerably the number of jobs that will be created through drilling. If you look at their estimates for Prudhoe Bay, it was quite a bit higher than the ultimate number of jobs that were created, and same with for the pipeline construction. So I would be very wary of any oil industry numbers in terms of job creation.
Some people have said, well, it's going to create literally tens and tens of thousands of jobs. But other analysts have said, well, it's not clear that it's going to do that, because once the development is over and it's in a production stage, there aren't going to be that many jobs.
It'll be lots of money for a while. 10 years, and after the oil industry is done, there's going to be nothing.
The oil companies are not particularly interested in drilling ANWR. They have pulled out from supporting lobbying to get the bill passed in Washington, D.C., because at the moment it's more attractive for them to drill in places like Indonesia and Sakhalin and Caspian than it is in Alaska.
If oil companies aren't interested in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, who is? Special interests who profit from oil drilling services. Our national interest lies in meeting long-term energy needs.
If we increased fuel economy just to 40 miles per gallon over the next 10 years, and that's compared to today's 24 miles per gallon, we could increase U.S. employment by over 160,000 new jobs.
That put 100,000 men to work on a new model and a new job.
That's new jobs in the service sector, and even over 40,000 new jobs in the auto industry.
With the renewable industry, we're talking about jobs that will last forever.
Everybody from the scientist who's trying to make that technology better and more efficient to the guy who's putting the solar cells up on your roof, that's all jobs.
Drilling is what we did in the 19th century, it's what we did in the 20th century.
Here, blowing sky high was power to revolutionize man's way of life.
It's the 21st century. Let's innovate and be less dependent on other countries for oil.
If we promote renewables in this country, we're going to jump the curve and be able to sell those resources abroad. By sticking with fossil fuel, which is becoming an outdated energy source, we're not helping ourselves in the global economy.
We're in a bit of a tough spot right now because several companies, for example, Honda and Toyota, are really far out ahead.
21st century cars!
It wasn't that Toyota wanted to be out there, making a statement. Toyota wanted to do the right thing and be a responsible corporate citizen. I believe that the U.S. auto buyers are the ones who feel they got caught with their pants down on this one.
If we let other countries develop these technologies and we have to pay for those technologies from them, we could definitely fall behind.
It's about strengthening the United States economy, and it's about strengthening our security. Every day, the United States consumes over 21 million barrels of oil. On the order of 60% of that is imported. In fact, every single minute, the United States sends over $350,000 to other countries just to buy oil.
Gasoline, liquid power to run millions of automobiles everywhere. Yep.
Our oil dependency isn't just an economic issue. It also makes us vulnerable to changes caused by global warming.
One of the single largest steps we can take to combat global warming is to put better technology to work. We could cut global warming emissions from cars and trucks by 40% with technologies we have today. And that's really important because US cars and trucks alone emit more global warming pollution than most countries emit from all sources combined. We're a major contributor to the problem, but we can also be a major contributor to the solution with good technology.
Not only smooth and efficient, but powerful as well.
If the United States really put technology to work and took our oil dependence and global warming seriously, we could see people driving around in SUVs and minivans that got fuel economy that was even better than today's compact cars. Right now, if you buy a new SUV, you're going to be spending on the order of $15,000 on gasoline over the life of that SUV at today's gasoline prices. But with better engines, better transmissions, high-strength steel and aluminum, you could not only increase your fuel economy, but you could save consumers $5,000 to $6,000 on gasoline.
Money saved through energy efficiency is the same as getting money in your pocket through any other way, through having a job that pays more, through a tax refund. It doesn't really matter.
Today's cars and trucks have a fuel economy which is a disgrace. We've been hovering at a 20-year low when it comes to fuel economy. In 1986, fuel economy was higher than it was today. 100 years ago, the Ford Model T got higher fuel economy than the average car or truck does today. The fact is that we need to put the technology to work so that by 2025, we could be saving 4 to 6 million barrels of oil every day. That's more oil than we currently import from the Persian Gulf. Ironically, it's the automakers that are fighting us. These are the people that have the potential to profit from this new technology and to generate new jobs.
It'll never work. We've gone as far as we can go.
In 10 years, I hope we can see the auto companies marketing based on fuel economy, but the sad reality is it's probably going to take the government pushing them in that direction before they're going to be really willing to take a leadership role. You never get something for nothing. The reality is you're going to have a slightly increased cost for the vehicles, but it more than pays for itself. In fact, at today's gasoline prices, a better SUV with the fuel economy of a compact car is going to pay for itself in about 2 to 3 years.
I took me a press, I took me some steel, I took my 2 hands and built an automobile.
For too long, the American public has been left high and dry by special interest lobbies. We need to be back in the driver's seat.
We need to be focused on Washington, D.C. and telling our congressmen that they really need to do something about fuel efficiency. They really need to do something about changing Americans' demand for petroleum.
Clearly, we can't drill our way to energy independence. Drilling in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge is ultimately a conservation issue. Despite claims to the contrary, opening the refuge to drilling will have a dramatic and permanent impact on the land.
They drill a hole in the ground called an oil well. But that's no guarantee that they're going to find oil.
Matter of fact, in exploratory drilling, only 1 well in 9 finds any oil at all. And only 1 in almost 1,000 makes a major discovery. Pretty big odds.
Anybody who thinks that oil development, especially at that level, is not a fairly significant industrial development has never been to those kinds of sites.
Once they get oil out of the ground, it has to be moved through pipelines.
It's kind of like you have a smoking room or a non-smoking room, but you can't have a kind of a smoking room. You're either there or you're not there.
The bottom line is that even if we do go up there, you're talking about a very, very short supply of oil, and you're talking about ultimately going back to those big suppliers in the Middle East, in Russia and Venezuela, and countries that are going to be very hard to have ongoing strong relationships with, and certainly put us geopolitically and militarily at real risk.
The refuge is just one more place to develop.
I had a man come here from D.C. who said when they want the oil, they'll take it. Doesn't matter what anybody here wants. When they want it, they'll take it. Doesn't matter what these people think. Well, I don't like hearing that, but it's probably pretty accurate.
Once the refuge is developed, if it is, then we're going to have to go on to the next place. And then we'll go on to the next place. And then we'll go on to the next place. So we have to draw the line somewhere, sometime. I think we ought to draw that line around ANWR. It's a precious, precious place. It really is one of the very few undisturbed places on the planet, really undisturbed. If we don't draw that line around ANWR, then where are we going to draw that line? When are we going to draw that line? I think the old question really works here. If not here, where? If not now, when?